Hey, this is Matt at the Quantum Leap podcast. As you know, this summer we are talking to the people behind the comics and novels that tied into the series in the early 90s. And as part of that, I'm really excited to have with me on the show Mindy Peterman. Mindy, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So Mindy wrote Song and Dance, which I think, if I remember rightly, was the penultimate one of the novels.
It was. Carol had the last one. Carol Davis.
Yes. So the last normal one, you had the Memphis Melody of the range. If we call Memphis Melody normal.
Yeah.
Maybe you had the season 4. We can write off the whole of season 5 as being abnormal. I'll probably cut all that. I don't know where my mind's going. You can tell it's 10 o'clock. So I really want to get into talking about Song and Dance, but perhaps first I could just ask you how you discovered Quantum Leap. Were you there from the very beginning? Were you a leaper from day one, or was this a later thing for you?
It was just a little bit later on, and it was back in the day when there was really no internet per se. So I discovered it like season 2. And then somebody had all the tapes, and they would tape them for me, and I would just like go back and watch them all and catch up. I love time travel shows. I used to love the Time Tunnel back in the 60s when I was just a young'un.
Yeah. And
Quantum Leap just kind of caught my imagination. The characters, the chemistry between the two, Sam and Al, and everybody else. It was pretty magical for me. I was kind of obsessed.
Wow, so, obsessed from the start.
From this, yes, from where I started, and then I went back and then caught up and said, "Well, this is fantastic. This is classic stuff."
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned Time Tunnel as well, because that was one of my introductions to time travel shows as well.
Yeah.
During repeats in the 80s.
If you look at it, if you kind of look at it now, it's kind of cheesy, but. It also had heart, that show. So
yes.
It was a buddy show too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of a precursor for Quantum Leap in some ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you followed the show as it went out for several years, and then I guess like many of the other authors, you started writing some fan fiction before you got to the point of the commission.
Yeah, fan fiction for me is sort of like when you love something so much, you just want to kind of be a part of it, kind of have a say in it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started writing the fan fiction. And back in the day when I started doing it, the fanzines were print. I mean, people like Julie Barrett, who you know, I'm sure, she put out a fanzine, and you'd send her you'd print it all out and you send it to her, and she'd either approve it or not, and then you'd get put in her zine, and it was a thrill to be put in her zine. So that's how I started. I used to put my stories in zines and, feel more part of the fandom that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the fact you say it was a thrill. I bet it was, and I'm
really
sure
was. Especially when you'd get comments from people like, "Oh, I really love such and such a story," and you'd say, "Oh, thank you very much." You'd feel good.
So, I guess that sort of maybe takes us to the early 90s, and the show ends. I assume just looking at the timing of when the novel came out and everything like that, you weren't even on the horizon for being published as part of the range at the point that the series ended. So we have this point where Mirror Image airs, and then there's several years where it's just the novels, right?
The novels came out. Ashley McConnell wrote the first couple, and I believe she was kind of a pro author. I don't know that she was a fanfic writer at the start, and so. Then it came that there was talk that Berkeley was accepting they were accepting public stories from the fans, so I said, well, why not? So I wrote a story, And the lady's name at Berkeley is Ginger Buchanan. And she's a wonderful, wonderful editor. And so I sent in a story, and she said, I really like the story, but it's not what we're looking for. I said, oh, okay, well, what are you looking for? And she said, we want a Gooshie story. I said, a Gooshie
so
story?
That came from her.
Yeah, that came from her. She said, we want a Gooshie story. I said, okay, I'll do a Gooshie story. And so she gave me a deadline. And I wrote the thing. And not knowing if it was really going to get published or not. I gave her the idea. I gave her the sort of the treatment. And she said, okay, I'll let you know. When people say he'll let you know, it's like, that's never going to happen. So I didn't write the thing until she said, yes, we want it. You have 3 months to finish it. I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what happened there.
And at this point, you're not, as I understand it, you're not a full-time author, so I'm assuming you had some kind of day job or other things going on in your life that meant that 3 months to write. I absolutely did.
So what happened was I would get up early in the morning. I would get up 4 or 5 in the morning to write this, because I'm not real good at. I get tired at night, and I'm not good. I'm better in the morning. So I'd get up like every morning about 4:30, 5 o'clock, and write the book, and then I'd go to work. And my dog at the time, my dog was Rudy the dog, and she sat next to me the whole time. And when I met Don Belisario at the convention, the last Quantum Leap convention, I showed him my book, and I said, and he looked at the tributes in the front and said, oh, who's Rudy the dog? I said, she sat with me the whole time I wrote it. And so he signed my book to you and Rudy or something like that.
Oh, nice.
To you, thanks to Rudy the dog. So
yeah.
Rudy the dog. So anyway, that's how that happened. I did get it in on time. And I had to fax it in. I remember faxing it in because, it was different then with writing and, communicating. There was the internet, but it wasn't like it is now. And so it happened. And then, the day I got this box with books in it, and and the cover was really crazy. It was quite a thrill.
That must have been such a special day.
It was. And then the day I walked into a bookstore and saw it, I was like, ah!
Yes, it's me!
Yes! So that was a lot of fun. It was special.
So just that was an amazing summary of how that must have felt over that period of time. Just going back to the treatment, how close was that to the finished product? Because there's several elements at play in the book, and I want to dive into all of them in a bit. But was there anything that was missing from the initial treatment that you remember that came along later? How detailed was it?
I don't remember that it was very detailed. I think she was more interested in the fact that she liked my writing initially, and that's what got me the gig. That's what got me the job. And she kind of trusted me to flesh it out and make it a story. The book is kind of 2 stories in one, and I don't remember, it's been a long time, but I don't remember really expressing that to her at the time. I might have said something like, Sam's going to leap into a guy whose mom is going to be with Gooshie, but you don't know that for a while. You won't know that. That's kind of a mystery. It's like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
So, and then of course Sam has that other story with Rebecca, who has problems of her own. But yeah, things change in the writing. Things flesh out in the writing. I don't know. I'm sorry to say I don't remember too much about that little window of time. But suffice to say, things did. They change in the writing. You have an idea and you say, oh, but then this is going to happen. Oh, wait, no, maybe I should do it this way. So,
yeah, of course. But yeah, I was interested in the fact that it is two very, very distinct storylines going on there, and it's really interesting to know that you were thinking of that early on.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seemed to me that Gooshie is sort of, in his own way, a flamboyant character.
Yes.
He's a little manic.
Yeah.
But who knew he had this hidden talent? That's what my thing was.
I know, right? I remember the first time I read it, I was just blown away that
some people didn't like that. Some people didn't like it.
Some people have no taste.
I
just thought it would be so easy to do a backstory of Gooshie where he's just this young physics nerd, maybe a story at college or something like that, but to give him this dancing background, it's brilliant. I love it.
Well, thank you.
I think it made the book much more interesting.
So, thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the Rebecca plotline, maybe, and then return to Gooshie. So, where did this where did that plotline come from? Because there's some dark imagery in there, and the nightmare imagery that comes through is so good that it's explored in a novel, because people try doing dream sequences and nightmare sequences on TV and it never works. You can't visualize that sort of stuff. It's perfect for the written form. So you get into that. You've got this great stuff with agoraphobia that is, from my experience, is extremely well realized. Where did that inspiration come from?
I don't know. I was just thinking about what could I do. I mean, what could I do to have someone be kind of needy, but wanting to be independent, but is in their own prison, and how could Sam help them out of that? And I just thought, here's another one with a secret. Here's Gooshie had his secret, and Rebecca had hers. It was just something that I thought about a long time. I said, they never talked about that on the show. People had issues, but they never talked about that in particular. So I said, all right, let me try to do that. So of course I did some research. I had a friend who had some issues of his own, and he helped me sort of be true to that that disease, so to speak. And I thought that it worked well in the sense that Sam would certainly try to help this woman out, and have Noah end up with her at the end, because that's what you want sometimes, not all the time. But
and again, it's as with that nightmarish imagery, it's another one of those things that's a lot easier to get inside someone's head in the printed page rather than on TV. It's not a story that would work on TV. And some of the novels did try to do TV stories in book form, but the story of Song and Dance is very much a book.
It is a book, and that's it, because of all my fan fiction background. It sort of lended itself well to the written form. I had no aspirations to write a script or write a script in novel form. So, I have a little funny story that I can tell if you want.
I would love to hear.
There was, I don't remember where it was from. There was some sort of contest that, and I don't remember how I guess you just entered the contest, and I don't remember where it was from. Maybe one of the fanzines or something. If you win, you get your name put in the book. Okay. So I'm not going to mention the name. She wasn't happy with me. But she's in the book. But I didn't really portray her as a very complimentary way. And she got on my case about it. I'm going to have to reread
the book now.
She did not like me at all. She said, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, I don't know. It was part of the book. It was a character in the book, and that was your name. No, she didn't like it. So, and I won't say her name.
And there was me hoping you were going to tick off one of the questions I was holding back, which is where the name Irving Gushman came from.
Oh.
I thought Irving Gushman was going to turn out to be a fan.
No, that wasn't him. It was
it's a great name.
Irving Gushman. I don't know. I just thought it fit.
Fair enough.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So, like I said, I don't want to mention the name. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. Fair enough. So yeah, talking about the other plot line, one of the things that I noticed and appreciated, and it's something that has in common with Thou Shalt Not, is the opening of the book starts off with all these Jewish tropes, and it immediately throws you into a lot of those kind of cliches. I say cliches, not being Jewish myself. Some of it was like, oh, okay, this is interesting, and I felt like I was learning about something. And then it very quickly goes away from that and isn't a story about a Jewish family. It's just a story about a family that happens to be Jewish.
Yeah.
Was that something that you were consciously aiming for as well, to kind of put that in there and then say, but it's not about that, it's just...
Let's just say, I mean, by the way, I took the name Gerda from Dean Koontz's wife. That's her name.
Okay.
Gerda. So that's where I got that name. But anyway, when I was growing up, my parents were divorced, and my mother used to go out to these dance places to meet gentlemen, and that's what I based that on. I based it on.
Okay.
I based it on. She went out and she did ballroom dancing, and so as far as the Jewishness, it's from my background. That's how I grew up. And I equate the ballroom dancing, I equate that sort of thing with Jewishness, because that's how I grew up. And so I made her Jewish, and I made Noah Jewish, of course.
Yeah.
And it's as simple as that. It's just that my upbringing, it sort of, snuck its way into the book. But it really it wasn't a big point.
No.
I didn't want to make a big point of it, but using those Yiddishisms sort of gives her color. So it gives Noah and Gerda kind of a colorful kind of thing. So
yeah, I
don't know, that's really not the best answer, but it's the only one I got.
No, it's an honest answer, and for me, rereading it created a very real atmosphere, and you've got to find some way of getting into the story and just creating this very believable scene with them. Was the way to do it, and it worked. It's just, as I say, I sort of felt like I did when I first saw Thou Shalt Not. Oh, okay, so I'm about to see a story all about the Jewish faith, and no, not really. Actually, that's just used as a route in, and that's
it's interesting that you say that. I never thought of it that way. I never.
But it's just because just coming in from outside and looking at it, and as I say, it was immediately noticeable. Yeah. So Gooshie's character. So all right, this may be going back a little bit. You were asked put Gooshie in the text, and Gooshie is somebody that was a comic character in the series, had a few amusing scenes. We know he has bad breath. He had some slightly more dramatic moments maybe in Lee Harvey Oswald, but other than that, he's a funny character. You chose to add in this background to him that he could dance.
Yeah.
How else did you approach building out a character that could actually carry a novel, because I don't see that happening on screen either. If I don't see them deciding, let's make a two-parter all about Gooshie. It would never have happened. It was a bold move.
Well, the thing is that since they didn't really offer a lot of information about Gooshie, it was easy. You could make up anything. You could make him a bad person if you wanted to, but that really wouldn't capture the essence of the show, or the premise of what you were going after. He was a person with heart, and he just had some issues about himself. But this was a secret that he carried through, and that's he didn't want to go back there, so he left, and then Ziggy went on strike. So. I'm laughing at my own jokes. It's terrible.
Yeah, no, but it's reasonable to laugh at it. It's always good. Not all of the authors tackled Ziggy that much, and it's always great to see Ziggy coming through as a character as well. That's the issue I have with the new show, but that's for another time. Anyway. We all miss Ziggy, don't worry.
Yes, but I just think that Gooshie was easy because there wasn't that much that they offered. So hey, let's give him a secret. Let's make him a dancer. How do we know he's not? And that's how that came about. She just said, "Give me a Gooshie story." And I thought, okay, I went with it. It was. I'm glad she did, because it was easy. It was fun. To make him like that.
Yeah, and getting towards the end of the range as well, the Beaks and Donna had both had their characters, and Tina they'd all had their characters drawn out a little bit through the range, but we risked getting to the end without anything really about Gooshie. So it's good.
And he was worth talking about. He was. I think he was a big part of the story of the series in his own way.
For sure.
Yeah.
So after you had your 3 months of very early starts, I'm hoping. I've been drawn into your story now, just imagining 3 months of you getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm really hoping you're going to tell me that you sent it off and you had no notes back. And Ginger said, "This is perfect." Did that happen?
Well, there's always... I mean, basically everything was fine. She, of course, would, make notes and how maybe something could be worded better, or something could be, portrayed in a better way. Because, of course, she was a professional editor and I was just a fan fiction writer, basically. And I took her notes very seriously. But there weren't... I have to say there weren't really that many of them. It wasn't really that awful or difficult to get through. And I was very happy that she gave me her professional input. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot about the publishing industry. It taught me a lot about what it takes to be a novelist. So I think I was very fortunate in that respect.
Taught you a lot about being a novelist, and then you made the decision not to write again? Or was it that kind of experience? You thought, that's it for me? Or
no,
have there been other...
I'll tell you something that a lot of professional writers say. Writing is the hardest thing ever, and it is. I unfortunately went back to writing fan fiction for another show. So, and you could see those stories on fanfiction.net, which I wrote fan fiction for House.
Okay. All right.
Under the name Tidwell.
Can we find them under your name, or are you
under
Tidwell?
Tidwell. That's my pen name there. But I do have another story. I have a story on Kindle Vella that nobody reads, It's, but that's okay. You're laughing. It's so hard to self-promote. Carol Davis does it so wonderfully, and I do it terribly. But it's called Geels. It's a science fiction story. It's not under my name. It's under a pen name. Cassidy Maxon, which is my two dogs, Cassidy and Max.
Oh, okay.
So
here come your dogs again.
If anybody wants to read that, it's on Kindle Vella under Jeels. Geels. It's a science fiction story.
We will add a link into the notes below.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Great. I made the assumption that you sort of stopped writing after that because I searched for your name and Googled a bit.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's hard.
Yes.
And I do write all the time, but as you know, I don't have an excuse. But I did write a lot of fan fiction, and I did write Geels, and I'm going to write more. So
great.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, please do keep writing. I honestly really enjoyed rereading Song and Dance. It's been a few years, and it's been a lovely week enjoying it again.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. What else can I tell you? It was a big thrill. When I went to the convention, I got to meet Don Bersaglio. I got to meet Scott, Deborah Pratt. You know, that was. Yeah. They all signed my book. I was very thrilled, and too bad I couldn't have. I wish I could have met Dean, but I never did. But in any case, I really appreciate the fact that you thought of me and wanted to talk to me about.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show and you being willing to share your time and your thoughts.
Certainly. Certainly,
it was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, I hope that those out there writing fan fiction for any show, keep at it. You know, publish it on like fanfiction.net or wherever you want, and just keep at it, because sometimes it gets you into places where you never thought you'd be, you never thought you'd go. So.
That's a wonderful and inspirational way to wrap up. Thank you so much. And once again, thank you for your time, Mindy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt. It was a pleasure.